Good evening and welcome to the Spirit-Led Life Podcast. My name is Bo Johnson. I have the honor of being your host every Thursday night, 6:30. I want to say, as we do every week, thank you to everyone who tunes in and those who respond, those who comment. It's fun to see who's on with us, and it's fun to have a little banter back and forth with you, and always enjoy that and appreciate that. And just want to say thank you again to whether you're watching this live on your preferred source of podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, or if you watch it after the fact. As we do every week, we just ask you to comment so we know where you're watching from, any questions, things like that you might have. We want you to like it, we want you to subscribe, and we want you to share, because no doubt everyone watching has friends that are not in common with all the rest of us, and that way you're able to get the podcast out to more people. And I encourage you to do that, not just with the Spirit-Led Life podcast, but with all the, I don't even know the number now, Jacob, 40-something podcasts that BGTV Studios have going out over the airway. Producer tonight, the one and only Jacob Brown, and he will do a fantastic job as always. To my right, off camera, my good friends Patrick and Jennifer Sullivan, and they are currently holding Levi, who has got some tools. He's just looking for something to fix, something to work on. In just a moment, I'll introduce my guests for tonight. Very excited to have the Miertschins on here with me tonight, Jerry and Liz, and we're just going to have a good time learning about them, learning about what it is they're doing, at least the amount of it that they're able to share with us. I do want to say thank you to those who continue to support BGTV Studios through your prayer and through your finances. There are several ways that you can financially support what's going on here. BGTVstudios.com website, just follow the prompts. Venmo is at BGTV-Studios, and Cash App is $BGTV Studios. The money, Patrick, that comes in to BGTV Studios, it doesn't go to podcasters like you and I. It goes for production costs, producers and equipment, which we're constantly upgrading and getting new. And it's a really, I've had several friends, Jacob, over the last almost 2 years now, comment on the production value of what we're doing here, the audio quality, the sound quality, that kind of thing. So appreciate those who are supporting. So without any further ado, I want to introduce my friends Jerry and Liz Miertschin to my left. And I'm just going to ask them and whoever wants to and however they want to just kind of give us a little intro of who they are, why they're here, what's going on in their life, kind of where God's taking them, and I'll just shoot you you guys some questions in between there somewhere. But just share with us whatever you'd like to share with us.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth, and this is my husband, Jerry. Most people call me Liz. We are missionaries out of Mexico, and we are currently here with our 1-year-old son, Levi, who's over there fixing stuff. Looking for people who are excited about missions like we are, who want to walk alongside us in prayer and in finances, and who want to learn just more about what we do on the mission field. We spend most of our time in Mexico growing the church that's there, evangelizing with people, evangelizing door to door, doing discipleship with people who have accepted Christ, even going back to houses who are maybe not ready, but who want to hear more. And so we're constantly going back to same houses. And like I said, discipling people who have decided to follow Christ, and just learning and growing more and more each day about the character of God as we step onto the field.
Awesome. So how'd you get there? Why Mexico? Why are you there? What brought you there? What's your history in regards to missions? Tell me a little bit about that.
So I was called to be a missionary as a teenager at a church camp. Ran for that call for a bunch of years, and then the founder of our organization, he preached at our church on Sunday one day, and that kind of revived the call, and I just could not let it go again. And so it was still probably a 2-year process after that Sunday to join up, but whenever I had finally decided that I was going to be a missionary, it was when I caught feelings for her. And so I actually had to tell her on our first date that I was called to the mission field, and that if she couldn't follow me there, that we couldn't continue the relationship. And so that's how we started. We got married 9 months later, and then 9 months we joined up with that Mountain Gateway is the name of our organization. We joined up with them, and we did their training academy, which is an 11-month process. and then we went to language school, and we bounced around from after language school to Nicaragua and Honduras and then Guatemala. Just there's a lot of factors there, and then now we're firmly placed in Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were those like short-term assignments, or y'all just knew some people and went and spent some time there?
They were short-term assignments.
Okay.
Yes, for Nicaragua, we just went there because that's where our organization was at the time. They're doing a lot of stuff, so we went to go help there, and just really we went there to help the local pastors and just encourage them. Then whenever we went to Honduras, it was just a short-term assignment because she was pregnant with Levi, and they gave us some pregnancy leave, and so we were also kind of testing the waters for the ministry we were visiting. It was a great ministry, but it was not really for us.
Right.
And then we came back to have him, and then afterwards we went to Guatemala to help some pastors that had been kicked out of their country, and so we're helping them kind of get stable there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I can't just breeze over this. Your first date?
Yeah.
You looked at her.
Okay.
You looked at her
Okay.
and said, "If you want to be with me, you gonna." Yeah, I want to hear this because I'm a sucker for romance now. So I want to hear, because I'm gonna tell you,
That's moves.
that's a smooth line right there.
We had been friends for about 2 years before we started dating. We met at a young adults group at our local church in Austin, Texas. And about a year into that friendship, the Lord let me know I was supposed to date Jerry. And about a year later, Jerry figured it out. And so just because we had been friends for so long, I already knew he was called to the mission field. He had mentioned it in passing and things like that. And I had taken it to the Lord because I had never felt called to the mission field personally. And I just took it to the Lord. I was like, I don't think this is where you're calling me, but I feel like you're calling me to date him. And he just revealed to me, you are called to go where your husband leads you to. And so to this day, I've never had that specific calling of missions, but I have had the calling to go where my husband leads me.
Okay. I like that.
Yes, sir.
Sounds kind of like our story. That's what my wife told me years ago. She said, I'll go anywhere that you want to go, that you think the Lord's telling us to go. She said, there has to be a Walmart, a hospital, and a major highway within 10 minutes.
Oh.
So
We didn't meet those requirements.
No, she didn't ask that.
and she was kidding. I mean, she was kidding, having some fun. So,
Right.
Why Mexico? Why? What about Mexico itself? What about the local ministries, church or churches that you're working with? Why Mexico?
So Mexico is just where our organization started. Our founders, they started a church there about a little over 20 years now.
Okay.
And they just have a heart for that area. And where we're at in Mexico is more of a training grounds. And so we are there to learn from seasoned missionaries. They're teaching us how to live cross-culturally, how to, spread the gospel, plant people, or plant churches, disciple, things like that. And so we're still technically in training with the goal is to be a pioneer missionary, go to somewhere that doesn't have the gospel with another family, go 2 by 2, and then start something there. So we personally don't have a strong tie to Mexico or even where we're at personally right now. And that could change, but that is the current step for us.
So what does discipleship in the culture look like? How's it different than discipleship here, and what are the things that you're trying to do intentionally? When you're following up, particularly with newer believers, what does that look like?
It looks like consistency, and so showing up on a consistent basis. Usually it's once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on how things go. Because we do, when we're evangelizing and we get someone saved, we go back the same day that we went that time, because that's typically when they're back as well. Now, as far as the discipleship, we try to bring them into the local church. We have a group on Mondays that does, we go through a booklet together. And then we just try to be consistent and do services with the people, teach them. We are in a very heavily indigenous area, and so sometimes we use a lot of natural examples. Like one thing that we struggle with, or not that we struggle with, they struggle with, is idolatry. And so we'll use a seed, just a corn seed, and I'll take it and I'll pull it. I'm like, hey, what happens if you plant this? And they're like, oh, well, it's gonna grow and give a crop. I'm like, yeah, all right. What if I take out my knife, I cut it into pieces. I'm like, what happens now? And they're just like, well, nothing's going to happen. It's not going to grow. And then I point to their idols, and I'm like, that's divided faith. And so we have, that's one message that our founder got from the Lord, and it's so helpful because that's just, it works in their mind. If I tried to talk about blueprints or chips, or, we have our things that we talk about in the modern world, but they're not modern people. And so they're modernizing, and so we just have to kind of use the things that they know to teach them about the word.
Okay. Jacob, do you have the information that we can pop up on the screen, and we'll pop it up again? You see the Miertschin's on a mission. My eyesight, is there a website on there, or email address, or a way to contact, just to get updates on what's going on, or maybe be a part of a email newsletter kind of list? I know the QR code's on there, but the QR code is for giving, correct?
Yes. So there's a couple different things you can see on this card. You can see our bio that just tells you a little bit about who we are and what we're doing. And then the QR code is our giving link. So if you would like to support us financially, you just click on that QR code, and that'll take you straight to our page. And then at the bottom right, there's some contact information. There's Jerry's email address and my email address. If you want to join our mailing list, if you want to join our Facebook or Instagram groups, just send us an email. Let us know who you are and how you heard about us, and we'll get you on board with that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, we got several ways you can do that, and you can always just hit me up, and I can get their information to you as well. Where are we in the process as far as the fundraising that you need to, number one, be able to actually leave the country, and then the ongoing monthly support that you will need while you're out on the field? Where are we at in that process?
We're probably about 20% of what we need.
Okay.
It's amazing. The Lord always provides. And even the last couple of years, on paper, they don't work, but they worked. Yeah. But we're also thinking long term in this, because we're not just, if we're pioneering something, we're going to have to go do more work. Right where we're at now, it's established, and we only go so far, and so the gas bill is only so much. But if we're doing our own thing somewhere new, we're going to go further places, be driving more, be doing this and that, and the costs are just going to go up as we go further into this.
Right.
And so where we're at now, it's a good price, a good cost.
Pace.
It's a good pace for us, and but we are looking forward to that, because we don't want to come off the field in 9 months again and do it again. We want to stay more consistent there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Do you have a designated time, like we're going for 1 year, we're going for 2 years, or no?
Not specifically. Our leadership did say that we were going to be there probably at least a year, maybe 2 to 3. It just kind of depends on our own personal growth, what they see in us, and what the Lord says ultimately. But
yeah, so like he said, we're currently still in a place of training where we're working under seasoned missionaries, and so we will do that until the Lord releases us to go and find somewhere to pioneer, whether that's in Mexico or somewhere else in Latin America.
Okay, awesome. So what's your story, each of you? How did you come to know the Lord? Where did you, where were you? What age? When you really reached a place where you just not even just the mission field, but just surrendered your heart, your life to the Lord?
Yeah, I'll let her go first. Mine will take some time.
Yes, so I was born and raised in the Baptist church, into the family of a Baptist minister, and so my entire childhood was just, if the doors were open, we were there. And I would say the first time I gave my life to Christ, I was about think about 10 or so. And I would say it was definitely a significant first step where I really felt like I knew the Lord and I was making advances towards a life with him, but life got in the way. And maybe one day I can share a little bit longer version of it, but long story short, I was very susceptible to the influences of the people around me, and I fell away from God when I was in high school. And then when I was about to go into my senior year of high school, I was at youth camp because we still went to church this whole time. It's not like I ever stopped. I just wasn't walking with God in my heart. And so I went to youth camp, and at that camp, the youth minister posed a question of, are you a citizen of the kingdom or a warrior for the king? And in my head, I have this visual of I'm neither. I'm sitting outside the gates, sleeping in a tent. I'm right outside the walls. And that really bothered me. And so I stepped back in to a life with Christ. And then I turned 18 and went to college, and it was the first time I was ever free from having to go to church.
Right.
No one was telling me what I had to do. And so I stepped away for about a year again, and I went to a conference. I went to Passion Conference after about 6 months of just not wanting to do anything with the church. And a friend of mine finally talked me into coming to church, and I just was like, okay, I'll hop in a bus and drive with you guys to Atlanta from Texas, and with a bunch of strangers go to Passion Conference. And the Lord really spoke to me during that time, and he's just kind of like, what are you doing with your life? You're hanging out with these people who are just not a good influence over you. You're not walking with me. Like, what's happening here? And that was really the last time that he had to really like poke me back onto the God wagon.
Right.
And I've been walking with him ever since, just looking forward and seeking that community that's going to point me back towards Jesus instead of allowing myself to just walk with people who are going to pull me away.
Right. That's good. That's good. What about you, brother? As the founder of BG TV Studio, Brad Graydon, sneaking in the side door.
Happy New Year. It's a long story. I'm trying to condense it.
Well, we got 8 minutes, 11 seconds, man.
Yeah, that's...
You can do it. You've done it.
I've done it. Grew up in the Baptist church. Always had questions as a kid, and nobody's answers were ever good enough for me. It was always like, well, it's in the Bible, so you gotta believe it, or you just gotta have faith, or that's just how it is. And while my heart's changed towards those answers, that was not good enough for me back then. And so these questions kind of led me down, or not led me down, but led me away a little bit. And me and my friends, we kind of just became the bad crowd. I didn't really like leave my friend group and join some bad people. We all just started doing bad things. And so I started getting with drugs and alcohol at maybe 15, 16, something like that. And going to church camps and having the church high, and then going back to school and being like, okay, whatever, that was just a church camp high thing, it's all emotions. Did that a variety of times. But then even just, I hit a point where just the drugs weren't fun anymore, and like I had to do more to feel more, and then I just didn't feel anything. And I was listening to a lot of like heavy metal, really into like all that music and punching people in the crowds. And then there's a lot of days where the Lord was really just calling me back. One was in a concert where I was just in the mosh pit, and I just felt dead inside, and I was like, what am I doing? Another day I had too much drugs, and the Lord met me, and was like, is this what you want your life to be like? And then after a series of things, I moved to Austin. My brother kind of dragged me to church, and then there is not the first time I've heard somebody preach with the Lord, like with the anointing. Even in the Baptist church, I had great pastors, but our pastor, Pastor Ross, had had anointing, and he drew me in and started getting connected with community there. And eventually, I guess 2019 is when I really rededicated my life to the Lord. And then it's been something crazy ever since.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how long was it after you reached that place where you just reconnected with God, and maybe for the first time ever really just submitted your life? How long after that before you were reminded, or God stirred your heart again about what he wanted for your life in regards to missions and missions work?
It was actually before that. So like I was going to the church, and our founder preached, and that kind of revived the call, like I said, but I was still 1 foot in the church, 1 foot in the world. And then I just kind of decided in 2019, our church had a discipleship group, thank you, where they basically teach you the Bible. They break down everything from salvation to finding freedom in Christ to finding your purpose and doing something about, you know, the state of the world. And so it was in the first semester of that I had a real strong encounter with the Lord, and then it was a year-long process after that to kind of solidify, okay, I'm going to do missions, because I had my job at the time, and I'd be sitting there, and I had, you know, my dual screens, and I have my work here, and I have the ministries page right there, and I'd just be looking at it the whole time. And one thing that kind of solidified it for me that I was supposed to go there is I had a dream one day where I saw, initially it was just 12 like sheaves of grain or 12 stalks of corn, whatever it was, right? It was a crop. And then all of a sudden it's like a drone panned out and then went up and over, and it was just like this massive field that nobody could count. And on the website at the time it said, you know, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few, and so pray for the Lord of the harvest that he would send laborers into his field. And so that kind of, for me, was like, all right, I need to go this direction. And then, excuse me, the founders, their son, David, was also in that discipleship group. And through that, we became really good friends. And he kind of, even telling me some of the stories, he discipled me into doing that and really helped me kind of lay things down. And then after that, like I said, after I decided, I brought her along with me.
Well, I'm glad she decided to go along with
you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you guys on the podcast. I know you're going to be on with Patrick Sullivan in the upper room, and also going to be on with Buck. And I don't know who all is going to be on there, if it's just going to be you guys and Buck or who, but that'll be a lot of fun. Buck's a hoot. So y'all have fun with that. Hey, Patrick, are they going to be on your podcast this coming Sunday or this coming Sunday night? Okay. Well, there's no reason for me to mention it because mine won't actually air till after that. Because or it could be the next time. Because you are, guess what, watching a recording. You guys that watch regularly know that I love to do this live. But as we started this podcast off, it was right about the time that Ole Miss was going to kick off in their pursuit of the national championship. So while you're watching this, I'm at home watching Ole Miss, hopefully winning the game. So, but it's great to have you guys on here. Let me ask you this: how would you ask anybody that's watching? And again, Jacob, if we can put that information back up again, the card with the QR code and all that stuff, you guys can just scan that code, and that's a way that you can give. And you see the other information on there, how you can be in contact, and if you want to follow Instagram, Facebook, different social media outlets, receive newsletters, those kind of things, you can do that on there as well. Folks that are watching and that initially first thought was going to be, wow, that's cool, this young couple excited about what they're doing. How would you tell them if they said, what are the basic ways that we can pray for you? What would your answer to that be?
There's a few different things. Obviously, we're support-based, so always finances. always pray for your missionaries' finances. And then the biggest thing that we need prayer for is souls. We need help with the area that we are in. We need prayer over the area that we're in. We're in a very heavily traditional Catholic area. And for a lot of those people, it's the idea of joining the evangelical church is scary. They could be cut off from their families. They could be cut off from their neighbors just for following Jesus, for getting rid of their idols, things like that. And so just prayer that fear is taken out of people and that their hearts are ready to just take on Jesus and walk with him.
Yeah. Would you add anything to that?
I would say that we really equip the people as well, because it can be very easily fall on the shoulders of the missionaries. And while that's part of the job, but it's also, I want to do it in a way to where we can equip people equip the natives and the locals to do the job themselves.
Yeah.
And that just takes time.
Yeah.
And but I mean, we can pray for accelerated time on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Well, look, I enjoyed you guys being on here with me tonight. Thank you for
thank you
doing
for
that.
having
I hope
us.
that you enjoy being on with Patrick and with Buck, and looking forward to keeping connected and updated on the process as you guys are getting closer and closer to actually making the move. And so you have our prayers in that, and have our prayers in the meantime, the connections that you need to make and the support that you need to raise. But thank you again. Appreciate both of you being on here very much. Thank you for tuning in and watching us tonight. You can check next Thursday night. We'll be back live in person, so I can have some banter with you and communication with you. But if you would prayerfully consider what this young couple's doing, how you can partner with them through your prayers, financial support, whatever that looks like. Thanks for watching tonight. God bless you. Have a great week.